Odin's what hand in if its birth Ragnarok's flames were not divine extinction, but a calculated erasure. Odin's what hand in if its birth Ragnarok's flames were not divine extinction, but a calculated erasure. Its shadow from the apocalypse he legends engineered. The studio's Asgard is a hollow throne, its legends reshaped to mute a truth. Odin did not foresee the end. He orchestrated it, the gods fell not as victims but as pawns in a darker genesis. What lies beneath the rewritten myths, a betrayal older than Yggdrasil, now silenced by ash and code. They did not merely rewrite legends, they erased the architect of deceit. By twisting Ragnarok's end, Santa Monica buried Odin's hand in the prophecy's bones, his whispers guiding realms toward a fate he alone could harvest. The Eddas, once mirrors of cosmic truth, now reflect a lie, that gods fell by destiny, not design. But if sacrifice was a ruse, what did Odin barter with Yggdrasil's roots? The 9 realms bound by a script he forged in shadow, a hollow throne not of power but of silence. What price is paid when prophecy is a prison? The answer lies in every rewritten verse your dread blooms, and the past is a weapon. This is not myth. It is a rage. Asgard's halls gleam like frozen sunlight. Odin's throne, Yggdrasil's shadow, hums with the weight of unspoken oaths. The Eddas sing of Ragnarok's storm, Aesir and Jotnar colliding, Surtur's wildfire consuming Valhalla's gold, Odin falling to Fenrir's jaws. But Santa Monica's saga begins with the end. Asgard burns not at Ragnarok's climax but its prelude. The Einherjar's armor melts to slag before the final battle. Surtur's flames, never meant to be an ending, become a beginning. Why erase the prophecy's conclusion? Why let Odin's death silence his secret? The void was not born in chaos, it was forged in fire. The game's Asgard is a tomb, its golden roof collapsed to bury a truth. Odin did not bargain with the Norns. He was their prisoner. The throne is hollow because the god who sat there was never whole. What if the Aesir's glory was a mask? What if their war was a ritual to cage the void, and Santa Monica's flames are the void's first breath? The Eddas were rewritten to forget the price. Now the halls are ash, now the throne is a wound. And the past, once a weapon, is a ghost. The Eddas tell of Odin's eye, given for Mimir's wealth kind that sees, a price paid in blood and salt. A wisdom earned pause, then the truth. Santa Monica's Odin never sought knowledge, he hoarded it. His eye was a ruse. A lever, a way to twist the well's visions into chains. Mimir's water ran black in his hands, prophecies became traps. The 9 realms bent not to fate, but to a god who feared the void more than death. The reframing is brutal. The Edda's wanderer who bartered with shadows to understand them, becomes a king who bartered with his own soul to bury them. Santa Monica's Asgard is a vault, not a hall, its walls built on stolen futures. Its throne a hollow where the void's breath waits, patient. Why? To silence the secret, Odin carried a wound in creation's fabric, stitched with stolen time. Ragnarok was never his end. It was his erasure, a fire to burn the ledger of what had done, a lie written in ash. What if the end of the gods was a beginning, not for rebirth, for silence? The void still hums beneath the frost, and the eye, once lost, now sees in shadows. Word count 310. The Eddas spoke of inevitability. Santa Monica carved a fracture. Kratos and Atreus did not merely ignite Ragnarok, they severed its throat, buying mortals a breath of survival, while chaining the 9 realms to Fimbulwinter's hunger. Baldur's death was no accident, it was a key. Odin's grand design, unraveled by sons who did not know to kneel. The Allfather's hollow throne did not crumble from fate, it collapsed under the weight of his own lies. You call this defiance, a boy's arrow, a god's blade. They shattered the prophecy's cage, yes, but at what cost? The frost that now gnaws the realms is not punishment, it is patience. Odin's shadow, stretching across centuries, now waits for a world frozen just long enough to forget his name. The void beneath the ice, a wound he stitched with stolen time. Every battle, every sacrifice stitches in a fabric destined to split. The Eddas are silent on this truth. Ragnarok was never about the end of gods, it was a curtain. A performance staged to bury a deeper rot. Kratos tore through the script, thinking he defied destiny. He merely handed Odin his final act, the Allfather's greatest secret. He never intended to rise again, not from ash. From silence, from the hollow heart of a realm he made his tomb. The frost deepens, the void hums. And in its echo, a question: who truly triggered the storm? The answer lies where Odin's eye once wept, buried in the snow, waiting to be found. The Spartan cape clung to Kratos like a second skin-worn, frayed, yet unburned by the Norse winters. Its crimson threads, dyed in the blood of gods and men, whispered of a rage no longer weaponized but tamed. In the Greek saga, his fury was a force of divine arithmetic, retribution for the murder of his wife, for the theft of his daughter, for the arithmetic of sins that demanded a cosmic ledger. But here in the frostbitten realm of Asgard, that rage had calcified into something else, a covenant. A refusal to let the past's arithmetic dictate the future's geometry. Odin's manipulations, however, were no mere ledger. They were a tapestry of thefts, the well of Urd's waters siphoned to fuel his one-eyed visions, the Norn's threads plucked and rewoven to suit his whims. The Greek Kratos had been a pawn in Ares' gambit, the Norse Kratos became the counter to Odin's. Where the Spartan had once sought to erase his rage, the Norse gods demanded he weaponize it again against the very void Odin had seeded. The studio's reworking of Ragnarok, then, was not just a rewrite of myth but a burial. A silencing of the truth that Odin's end of days was no reckoning, but a theft of the void's birthright. The snows of Jotunheim hid more than Atreus' origins. They smothered the echo of Odin's crime, the moment he spilled the void's essence to forge Yggdrasil's roots, binding the tree to his will. The studio's scripts excised this, framing Ragnarok as a cycle rather than a coup, but the cape knew. What does it mean to desiccated redeem a god who was bang, to void's breath should have been? What does it mean to desiccated redeem a god who was bank's never lost, to void's breath should have been atoned for a sin that was never yours? Kratos' journey through Norse was not a parable of forgiveness, but of negation. He did not mirror Odin's crimish, negated them. His rage, once a theological constant, became the counterweight to a stolen fate. And in the hollow throne of Asgard, where Odin's shadow still lingers, the question festers: what else have they buried beneath the snow? What else must remain unspoken? The ash of Ragnarok still falls in Asgard's silent halls. Odin's body lies cold, the prophecy's threads cutie at the void hums, unbroken. Faye's visions, seared into the ice of Niflheim, show hands weaving darkness long before the world's serpent awoke. Her foresight is no gift, it is a wound. The gods declared his death a victory, the snow remembers otherwise. Beneath the Bifrost's shattered stones the void breathes, it is not chaos, it is design. Odin's spear Gungnir was never meant to slay Fenrir. Its tip, blackened by a different battle, whispers of a war fought in the unlight beyond Yggdrasil's roots. The Allfather did not fall to prophecy, he fell asterisk toward asterisk it. Faye sees the truth in the cracks of her own mind, a throne colder than Nidavelir's forges. A crown of stolen stars, the void is no accident, it is a vault. And Odin in his final act did not break the cycla asterisk sealed asterisk it. The gods burn his name like incense. The ice keeps his secret like a shroud. What if the hollow throne is not empty? What if it waits? The snow is silent, the void is patient, and Faye's visions, they do not end with fire. They end with a door. What if Ragnarok wasn't the end of the gods but the beginning of a greater betrayal? The flames that consumed Asgard were not divine reckoning, they were erasure. Odin's hollow throne, built on the bones of a lie, collapsed under the weight of its own design. For centuries, the Allfather wove the 9 realms into a tapestry of chains, the void not a monster, but his masterpiece a leash forged in starlight to bind creation itself. His final act was not sacrifice, it was sanitation. The game's rewritten apocalypse, where Kratos and Atreus strike the killing blow, is the crime scene. The smoke still smells of old parchment, the ash of erased scrolls. Odin's death is a period placed on a dotted line, a prophecy rewritten to make heroes of those who unknowingly buried him. The void's patience is not silence, it is a held breath. In the game's final moments, as the halls of Asgard crumble, the scent of ozone clings to the Ira chemical whisper of something ancient being sealed, not unleashed. Atreus' arrow finds its mark, but the true wound is the secret it buries. The door Fae foresees does not open. It waits. The Eddas, those brittle pages, never spoke of this betrayal, yet their gaps are shouts. Every stanza that sings of Odin's hunger for knowledge omits the truth. He sought not wisdom, but a lock. The fire that birthed the void was not his end, it was his signature. The 9 realms breathe easy, thinking their saviors have won. They do not feel the absence of a god who never intended to rule, only to control. The door remains closed. The void remains patient, and the throne, though empty, is not yet forgotten. What if Ragnarok wasn't the end of the gods but the beginning of a greater betrayal? A lie etched in blood and ash, 3 generations bound by a truth they were never meant to inherit. Odin's all-fatherhood was a gilded cage, his wisdom a smokescreen for the rot beneath. He did not seek to preserve Asgard. He sought to starve the void, to chain its hunger with the bones of his own kin. Kratos' war was never against tyranny. It was against the echo of a crime older than Yggdrasil's roots. Atreus' feathers fell not from mortal frailty, but from a lineage cursed to repeat the same fatal reach. What father doesn't try to outrun his shadow? What son doesn't mistake the shadow for a path? The studio's silence is no accident. The Eddas were burned not to honor myth, but to bury a name too terrible for memory. Every shattered spear, every screaming god, was a step in a dance choreographed by the man who built Valhalla as a prison, not a promise. The void was never an enemy, it was the reckoning and the throne. A hollow heart, beating only because the world still clings to the delusion that power can be tamed. The door remains closed, the void remains patient. And the blood of 3 kings waits, underground, for the day the lie cracks. What lies beyond the burning throne? Asgard's golden hall still echoes. Odin's throne, hollow at its core, guards a truth Santa Monica scrubbed from the flames. A betrayal not in Ragnarok's ash, but in the story we're taught to weep. Stay tuned. The lie cracks, Santa Monica's saga, bends the Edda's Ragnarok becomes a preemptive strike. Atreus and Kratos shatter the cycle, sparing mortals the void's hunger, but why erase Odin's hand in its birth? The gods fall, yet their shadows linger. Was the 9 realms end a sacrifice or a deception? The Eddas whisper of a darker origin. The hollow throne holds more than bones, it holds a secret Santa Monica buried. The void stirs still. What if the true betrayal isn't in Asgard's ashes,